hope you're good. I hope you are having a pleasant weekend, pleasant Sunday, whatever you're up to at the moment. Mine's been pretty relaxed, I'm going to be honest. I'm feeling better today, feeling good. That's what I want to talk about in this video, actually, following quite a shocking start to the weekend, wasn't it, for us West Ham fans? So I feel like we need to have a little chat about it. Let's have a little chat and see where we're all at the moment, because I'm certainly feeling a little bit better today than I was even possibly yesterday. And I want to talk about a key factor I feel like that's on the to-do list for Nuno Espirito Santo. Of course, has been confirmed as new head coach of West Ham. Be taking charge of his first game tomorrow night when we take on Everton. David Moyes, of course, as well. So big game, big game. Before I get into it, though, if you're new to the channel, do subscribe. Come and follow us. Come and join us on this marvellous journey, this stressful journey, being a West Ham fan that just never fails to deliver. Really appreciate it if you do. So hit the like button and give us a hype up. The hyping's been pretty good. We've been doing all right with the hyping. Everything's going. Channel's growing lovely. So come and join us if you're not part of it. 50% of you, 50% of you watching this around that are regular watchers, comment and all that kind of stuff. But you don't subscribe. So just check it out. Just quickly go, hang on, am I a subscriber? You might not be. Makes a big difference. Really appreciate it. So yesterday, yeah, very strange. I don't know about you. This is just my weekend. I'm not going to say we're doing the exact same thing, but I'm just talking about in the general mindset of it all. I thought it was going to be quite a quiet weekend. Going into the Everton game, of course, on Monday, Graham Potter. I'm going to be honest, I have very little hope. I haven't done any sort of preview there. I'll be doing that tomorrow ahead of the game, doing a team news from X and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. I'll probably be doing that sort of early, mid-morning, sort of it'll be around lunchtime. But West Ham, yeah, I was expecting a bit of a quiet weekend. I'm going to be honest. Told my missus, yeah, but it's not going to be too much now. I've been like most West Ham fans. I've been feeling quite beat up really with West Ham and just feeling so flat and uninspired by any of it, and feeling dejected when it comes to talking about West Ham, when it comes to optimism going into games. So I just felt like that with regards to this weekend. I was actually quite pleased. You know, that's a bad sign, didn't you? When you're pleased your team isn't playing. That's how I felt about Saturday and Sunday. I thought, well, at least West Ham can't cock up the weekend for me. At least I can just watch football, switch off a little bit from West Ham, and then deal with that on Monday. And I don't think that's a good. Well, it's definitely not a good sign of how things are going. I've been feeling like that quite a while with West Ham. Do you know what I mean? In general, like rarely going into games with optimism and excitement. Most of the time, going into it feeling quite, anxious and generally just not looking forward to the experience of watching West Ham, because it just feels like it always ends in disappointment. So I've very much had that feeling going into the weekend. You know, please West Ham weren't playing, and then thinking Monday, oh God, we've got Everton away. And to be honest with you, because it's David Moyes as well, I just could picture it in my head. I could say, yeah, they're going to win. They're going to win well, Everton. They're going to beat us. It's going to be depressing, and we're going to see another defeat. David Moyes beating us well. All that stuff I could just picture in my mind and thought it's going to be, and that's going to add to the pressure. Fans are going to be furious, and that's the way it's going to be. So it was quite surprising to be out. We only popped out to the local town, me and wife and the kids popped out. And I look at my phone and messages everywhere, and straight away, first one, Potter sacked. Have you seen this about Potter? Can you believe they sacked him? And I'm thinking, what the? Yeah, so I know inside things like that, right? I'm not an insider, all right? I know a few people, but I'm not an insider. But I would usually be given a bit of a heads up, something like that. I would have expected a phone call in the morning, or at least a few messages to say, by the way, big news is coming, and prepare myself for it, right? So it was a big shock. And then I spoke to X, and then we put out articles, did a video yesterday, Nuno coming in. But I was so caught up in all of it that it's hard sometimes. I got a bit lost in all of it in a way. It was almost like I was still in a bit of a state of shock, I think, thinking, the day started off thinking, I can just enjoy my football, not worry about West Ham too much, don't really give it too much of a thought. I have to do something with West Ham every day because of what I do, but it was going to be a day where I wouldn't have to get too invested in it. And then all of a sudden, this happened. Graham Potter's no longer our manager, and also Nuno's there, and he's taking training, and it was, a lot to sort of unravel. So I certainly feel different now than I did yesterday, because time to sleep on it, time to reflect, and sort of, absorb it a little bit more than I was able to yesterday. And I'm going to be honest, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling much better than I was. I feel like out of the appointments West Ham could have made, you know my thoughts on it in terms of who I wanted. I wanted Marco Silva. When there was that sort of hint that West Ham, oh, that was a chance we could go and get him. That's the manager I wanted West Ham to go and get. But Nuno was number two. Nuno was always number one for the managers I know we were going to go for, i.e. out of work managers. We know West Ham work, right? That's what I'm trying to say. When you look at all the other listed managers that we were being linked with, Bilic, Daesh, Cooper, all these, Nuno for me stood out. That's the manager we've got to go and get. So I'm really pleased about that. I'm also really pleased as well in the fact that West Ham have done this early on in the season. That's a little bit unusual for us. We were expecting West Ham to see through, weren't we, the next two games, Everton and Arsenal, and then make a decision ahead of the international break. So that was my anticipation, that we're going to be 7 games into the season, then making a decision. And then I was really starting to worry that what if we get a result against Everton, lose to Arsenal, then we then go, well, we'll give Potter a bit longer. This is where my mind was going, because I'm going to be honest, and I'm pretty sure most will agree with me on this. I think Potter was taking West Ham down. There was just nothing there, was there, this season? I felt there was more. There were signs last season under Potter, although the results weren't great. I felt there were signs that we were going to be better this season. I thought this season we were going to be an average Premier League team under Potter, which I was okay to accept, following what we've just been through. I thought if he can just stabilise us, we'll be a mid-table team. No real thrills, but we'll just get through the season. I was going to accept that under Potter, but that it wasn't going to be that. We you know, what are we in now? We're 5 games in the Premier League season, lost 4, 6 in all competitions, lost 5. It's, you know, horrendous. -8 on goals in the Premier League already under him. That's just relegation, and we look so bad. We've looked so bad. So it was needed. A change was needed. And I'm completely on board with the change and feel like it was needed. And I'm completely on board with the change we've made in terms of bringing Nuno in. I understand that Nuno is a step backwards in terms of style. We are going back to more of a David Moyes style setup here, with less possession based, but being far more effective when we are in possession, i.e. more effective on the counter attack, be more effective in set pieces, things like that. Now, I appreciate there are going to be some that won't like that. I appreciate there's going to be some that feel like this is a bad decision and we should be trying to play more expansive football. My feeling is we don't have that luxury at the moment. We are not a club that are able to be picky in terms of, what sort of style of play do we want? We are a club that's fighting to stay in the Premier League at the moment, and you've only got to look already at the teams that have come up, possibly Burnley aside out of that, but you look at Sunderland, you look at Leeds certainly, and Sunderland certainly, of how well they've started. And the fact other teams are even around us now that have struggled picking up points. Villa, I've just finished watching the Villa game. They've just beaten Fulham 3-1. So they've got their first big win of the season. That will lift them. This is going to be tough. This season's going to be very tough. We need a pragmatic manager. We need someone that's going to come in and make West Ham organised, hard to beat, and be effective and can pick up results. That is going to be paramount. And to be honest with you, I'm pleased about that. Really pleased, actually. And I like Nuno. I think, you look at his record. He's been outstanding. I mean, outstanding job, of course, with Wolves. I think it probably more so than he did at Forest in terms of the team that he had and where he got them to. I think he got them to 7th, I think. It's 7th or 8th, and he got them into Europe, which was remarkable with the team that he had. He then went, obviously, on to Tottenham. That didn't work out. He was only there for a short period of time. He then went to Nottingham Forest and did amazing. I mean, they were in the top 4 for most of last season, which is remarkable, and got them European football again. I just think that we've got someone in now that is perfect for the timing, for what we need. I think there's a lot for him to work with as well. I look at West Ham. He's not picking up a bad squad here. He's not picking up a squad of players that you think, Christ, this is a championship side and I'm going to have to work miracles here to keep West Ham in the Premier League. I think he's got a squad that's capable of being a top 10 side this season. I really do mean that. And when he's proven to be a manager that can galvanise squads and can get them playing better than their abilities. I think we had that under Moyes, really. We had a team that was okay on paper and bad, but we got top 6, top 7. We were doing well. I think there's a lot of similarities there, and I'm hoping that that's what we're going to see. I look at the wingers situation in terms of Somerville and Bowen. I just think that is going to suit his style very, very well. I think he's going to get the best out of those. I think he's got a couple of good strikers that will work with well. If you look at Chris Wood, and then you compare him, say, with what we've got in terms of Fulkrug and even Wilson, probably, I think that could work quite well for West Ham. Got players that he wanted at the club, that he wanted at Forest, Matthias Fernandes being one, which I think is good. Magassa as well, he wanted, didn't he? So, and also as well, which is going to be a delight to many, he doesn't play Ward-Prowse. He didn't want Ward-Prowse at Forest. He sent him back. He wasn't part of his plans. Couldn't get near the team. Couldn't even get on the bench. So I think that's going to be a bonus for West Ham as well. I just think that all in all, I think this is a positive appointment. I will say there is one negative to it. Well, no. Sorry, this is one negative. This is the one negative I'm going to throw into it. Not negative in the appointment. I think the appointment's decent. I really do hope we get an impact as well, don't you? Oh my God, wouldn't it be great just for once West Ham get a new manager bounce? I would love to experience it. What it would be like to have a manager that comes in and you win the first 3 games on the spin. Do you know what I mean? And everything just turns around and you have that real shift in fortune. Just we rarely ever see it at West Ham, so that would be nice, wouldn't it, to get off with a win at Everton? That would be fabulous. But one thing that I think that needs addressing, though, and it is an elephant in the room, is the leadership issue at West Ham. That needs sorting. I really hope Nuno is aware of the leadership problems we have at West Ham, because that's one thing I'm noticing more and more. I've noticed it all of last season, talked about it. It's been a problem for quite some time that we just don't have natural leaders out on that pitch, which is baffling considering some of the players we've got out there. But I just don't think it's right for Bowen to be captain anymore. I really don't. And I don't mean that horribly to him, because he's a fabulous player, our best. There's no two ways about it. And I couldn't be more delighted that he's at West Ham. And I never want him to leave, at all. I think he's a fabulous footballer. But I just don't like this captaincy thing. It's come out in the press. It came out, I think it was in The Athletic, that Graham Potter questioned it and felt that Bowen wasn't a natural leader. We see it. I see it all the time. I just never see him leading the team out on the pitch. I just never see any of it. Like, heads go down, including Bowen's. When we score, it's just heads down, walking to the touchline. He just doesn't seem to galvanise the players. It's not having a go at Bowen. He's just not a natural leader. Leadership's not a quality that everyone possesses. I'm not a leader. There's not many. Like, it's something that's ingrained in you as a person. It's hard to learn to be a leader. Management and leadership are very different. Managing players and getting them into certain positions, managing, or even, managing teams and stuff, is very different to leading. Leading's like a totally different quality altogether. And I think that's something that needs looking at. I really, really hope that Nuno's very aware of this, and that's something that's high on his list to get sorted out. I'm not saying, by the way, that he's going to come in and go, Bowen, you're out, I don't being captain, but I would certainly be looking at maybe saying, Bowen, well, maybe you can be vice, and then give the leadership to somebody else, take the burden off him, and maybe just use the excuse and say, look, to Bowen, I'm talking like how they publicly play it, is say, look, focus on your game, just so Bowen can focus on getting back to his best, get him out in his best position out on the right wing, and get him just focused on being a good player, rather than him having the burden of having to carry the team. Because he's clearly, it's a lot anyway, especially with a team like West Ham that's struggling. It can't be easy coming to work every day with that responsibility hanging over you. And then the question, obviously, of course, is who then do you think should be captain? I'm curious to know what you think. Look, by the way, you can open disagree with me. Like, that's about life. We have disagreements. That's normal. It'd be boring if we all agreed with the same thing. This is my thoughts. But interested to see what you think. But I would personally, this is just my personal opinion, I'd make Bowen vice, and I think, on the face of it, I'd make Thomas Souček captain. And I know there's going to be people moaning about that straight away. The reason I say Thomas Souček is I think Souček's going to play quite a prominent role under Nuno this season. I think he's going to have quite a big role to play at West Ham. I'm not saying he's going to be a 90-minute player every single week, but I think he's going to be quite a key player for Nuno. That's my gut. If you look at some of how he sets teams up and how he's effective, I think Souček's going to be a big player for him defensively and offensively. Like he was for Moyes. He's a key player. He will get you goals and he will protect the box. And I just think that I get the feeling he would like that role. I think he would suit captaincy. I think he would take it on and be fine with it. That's my feelings anyway. That's one thing I really want to see addressed now, because that is a key problem at this club, and we've had it for a long time, and it's not really been addressed. And because it's Bowen, because he's our best player, it's almost like it's an awkward one. How do you talk about it? But I think it needs to be talked about. But other than that, I think that's the first sort of negative in terms of what I think needs addressing. But I'm pleased about the appointment. I think this is an appointment that can get us more organised, make us more difficult to beat, and to see West Ham getting points on the board again, being competitive. And it's automatically, I'm already looking forward to Monday night now. I'm looking forward to seeing how we set up and seeing how we play and how we respond. And hopefully we see the likes of, Matis Fernandez, Paqueta, Somerville, Bowen, all these big players that we have step up now and really thrive under a new boss. I think they will. I think they're going to enjoy playing under him. Actually, I think this could be a decent appointment for us this season, and I really hope it is. I certainly feel more calm now in terms of relegation and stuff than I was under Potter. Under Potter, I thought we were going down. I was starting to think this is really bad. He's going to be going anyway. I've talked about it enough the last few weeks. He was going, but now we've brought in someone that, like Nuno, has got that record, and I just feel a lot more comfortable now about things. But obviously, the most important thing is getting up and running quickly. That is really key. We want to see points on the board early, lift the mood, and feel like we're going in the right direction. But elephant in the room is the leadership situation. Look forward to knowing your thoughts on it. I'll be back tomorrow. Going to do a sort of preview, team news stuff, and then we'll talk about the latest in the news as well. I want to talk about Daniel Kutinski as well, the ownership. I'm going to talk about that in another video. But yeah, save that one for tomorrow. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, come on your irons.